Hey guys, Camilla for Empire, Season 2, Episode 12, A Rose by Your Name, and I know I said that I was going to review The Americans next, which I was planning on doing. I was planning on watching The Americans after this, but what ended up happening was I started watching Empire because The Americans wasn't on yet, and I just got really into this episode. I'm like, alright, I'll just keep watching, then I'll review The Americans tomorrow. So that's probably what I'm going to do. I'll review Empire now, then review Americans tomorrow. But like I said, I really did get into this episode, and I was really looking forward to this episode because last week's mid-season premiere really surprised me. I really was into it. I thought it really provided this interesting direction for the show, and I really thought it kind of regain my faith in the show. It made me realize why I like the show as much as I do, and why I'm going to continue to watch it. And most of this episode was the same way. I really enjoyed a lot of this episode. Highly intense stuff going on, really good storylines. The end of this episode really concerns me. I'll say that. I think it was a very abrupt ending, but if the episode ended the way I think it ended, then I'm going to be quite upset. If it didn't, then great. They're going to surprise me, but I don't really know. But let's just get into this episode because, like I said, for the most part, I really did enjoy it, and I hope that Empire is going to stay as consistent as these past two episodes have been, because Empire's really good. When Empire's really good, it's really good, and there has to be a lot going on. There was a lot going on this episode, and I definitely really enjoyed that. So we start off right away. We see the small press conference going on at headquarters, and we know Hakeem is now CEO in the seat, and pretty much we realize what everyone's position is now going to be, because we see Hakeem sitting pretty in the CEO's seat. He announced that Cookie will be the head of A&R. Andre will continue as Chief Financial Officer, as the president of Good Life Records. And Jamal will be stepping down as vice chairman. Will be focusing on his Black and White album, because as we know, Jamal wants focus on the music. That's been his focus. That's something that he wants to do, and you definitely see that here. So the press gets a chance to ask a few questions. Harper Scott wants to know what Lucious is doing right now, because obviously Lucious is no longer part of Empire, and you have to think that obviously Lucious wants his position back, and Cookie interrupts and says that Lucious is focusing on his video, Boom 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 Boom, and as we know, it's been nominated for those awards, so Lucious wants to make a video for it, and Hakeem says that Empire will be supporting Lucious's work even though he isn't a part of the company anymore, and I like seeing that, but basically Hakeem is saying this because Cookie told him to. We see that Cookie told him after the press conference that he better do what he's told, that he has to try to overthrow Camilla, because obviously they want to get the position back. They want it, they don't want Camilla and Mimi to run anymore, even though they're running it right now. They want to get it back from them, and you definitely see it. That's their main goal. So, meanwhile, back at, basically we see, then the reporter, Harper Scott, decides to pay Lucious a visit afterwards, and she asks Lucious how he plans on taking back his company, because, as we could tell last week, I mean, he was obviously really upset, and he's really lost without Empire, you can definitely tell. But I do like that he's trying to go on. He is trying to, change things a little bit, which I definitely did like seeing, but you can tell that he definitely, I mean, she's asking if they can expect violence and what's going to happen there, because it really seemed like he was going to try to overthrow Hakeem, and possibly even kill him just to get his company back, and we know how much his company means to him. His guards then escort Harper out. Lucious throws a temper tantrum. He starts smashing things. He just doesn't want to hear about Empire now. You know, all the work is required, everything that he's done, he just doesn't want to hear about it, because yeah, he doesn't have Empire. He wants to move on, and you can definitely tell. So, meanwhile, back at Empire, we see Hakeem is performing the song about power, and the fame is definitely going to his head. He has everyone gathered around listening to him perform his song, and then he unveils the company's new logo, which is a picture of his face, which is very interesting, and a very interesting way to open the episode. You can tell right away, like I said, that the fame is definitely going to Hakeem's head, and you definitely start to see that he's kind of being corrupted by power a little bit, and the only person that's kind of keeping him grounded is Cookie. Cookie's the only person that seems to be keeping him grounded, and I definitely did like seeing that. Definitely really interesting overall, and I definitely really did enjoy that with Hakeem. But I gotta say, the most interesting aspect of this episode, and the thing that makes me most interested for the rest of the season, is what's going on with Andre. Because as we know, Andre and Rhonda suffered a terrible loss last week as they lost their child, because Rhonda had that miscarriage. And you can definitely tell it's affecting Andre a lot more than it was Rhonda. And you definitely got that sense in last week's episode. This does not feel out of place. It feels like this definitely did seem like the way to go. When Andre was crying hysterically, you know, looking at that nursery and everything, this really has affected him, because he sits with Rhonda down, says they have to talk, and apparently Andre had a vision, and he thinks that it's a sign that someone pushed her down the stairs and made her lose the baby, and we still don't know who that person is. Like I said, I'm pointing towards Anika, but we still don't know, and Andre's certain that it wasn't an accident. Rhonda doesn't want to keep rehashing the past. She wants to move on. She asks Andre to help her get into Camilla's high-fashion clothing line at Empire, and Andre agrees on one condition, that Rhonda has to go to church with him for grief counseling, because as we know, she doesn't really believe in church anymore, but he still wants her to have that faith, and they want to go to grief counseling because they really need it. And you see that their relationship's not really, I'd say, crumbling, but it's really in this bad state where Andre's starting to have these visions and he's starting to think all these things. And Rhonda, just at this point, seems like she just, Rhonda really isn't as affected as Andre is, but Andre really is starting to go through those same symptoms he did when he didn't take his meds. And, she even talks about the grief counselor that he's not taking his meds. So Andre's in a very dire state, and I like the way they're showing it. Because like I said that this is what happened to Andre, that he'd not take his meds, and that bad things would happen to him, and his bipolar would come out. And basically they do have a grief counseling meeting and they kind of talk about the stage of bipolar and what they need to do, but Rhonda really is focused on the fact that Andre isn't taking his meds and he needs to take his meds and he's not, and that definitely is going to be a problem further down the road, as we know, because when Andre doesn't take his meds, things don't go well. But interesting stuff, definitely. I like the way they're setting that up, and you can definitely tell, like I said, that this is really having a bigger effect on Andre than it ever did on Rhonda. Not that Rhonda's not being affected, but Andre's being a lot more effective. So Cookie shows up at Lucious' Boom 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 video sets, and I love the way the scene was done. There's been a lot of blood between these two all season. It really seems like they kind of are respecting each other more, and I like this. We see that she goes over the story, boards the video with him, gives him some pointers. Lucious plays a clip of some piano music that he's been working on, and Cookie's very impressed, says that Hakeem might have done him a favor because since he hasn't worked in Empire, he's been able to work in this music, and she thinks it's the best work he's done in a while. And honestly, yeah, it's not, some fabricated pop song. It's actually a very beautiful piano melody that she feels he should play, and is kind of the real him, and I definitely really did enjoy that. And if they're really setting up Lucious to go in this direction of maybe a music career, I think is really interesting, because I like seeing Lucious not work in Empire and kind of have to do his own little side things and realize his passions. I mean, it shows how hard he has to work, and I definitely really did like that. Really great scene, probably one of my favorites of the episode, between Cookie and Lucious. But then Andre barges in, basically ruins it all. He has bad news. Camilla slashed the budget for Lucious' music video. Lucious livid, he shouts she can't do that, but legally she absolutely can, because she basically overthrew him from it, and as we know, he really has no control over it. And Cookie reminds Lucious to stick with the plan. He needs to keep his cool until Hakeem gets enough dirt on Mimi and Camilla and proof that they set up Lucious, because obviously no one knows that yet, but they're starting to basically create that story that they did set up Lucious, and that's what they need to do, that they need to keep that story going, that in fact they did set up Lucious. So Jamal, very weird scene here, but a very interesting scene. Jamal then leaves Empire with Becky. He's surrounded by a couple dozen angry gay rights activists. They ask him to sign this flip-flop, and then they dance around and sing that he's a flip-flop, like Hakeem's song Drip Drop, but it's a flip-flop. Flip, flippity flop. You know how, like, he's bi now, they think he's a flip-flop, and they're rubbing sandals in his face. Really crazy stuff, and apparently they feel that Jamal sold them out. Like, he's told them he's gay, now he's not gay, and they're really upset. Honestly, they're upset, and it's kind of understandable because of the fact that he's had their back and he came out and everything. You can kind of understand why they're upset about it, but at the same time, I mean, he made the choice. He made the choice. They should respect it, and, they're not respecting it. And I love the scene where Becky says that's not even what the lyrics are. I thought that was very funny. And little lines like Becky, I know Becky's the main character and didn't have a lot to do, which, alright, fine, whatever, but, that's what are you gonna do? I'm not really gonna complain that Becky didn't have a lot to do. I'm kind of used to it by now, but just that little line, I like that she had that funny stuff overall, and it does show that Empire can do some comedy well. There are actually some quite funny scenes here, which I definitely really did enjoy, and basically, they really feel that Jamal's betrayed them with this decision. And it's not really a bad decision he's made, it's kind of just a sudden thing, and now they're really confused on if he's actually bi or if he's just confused. And we remember that Cookie had this conversation with him last week on the same thing. So Hakeem's trying to make out with Laura, but Camilla barges in and Laura heads downstairs to A&R. Because if you remember, Camilla doesn't know that Laura and Hakeem are together, and Laura is at A&R now. And Camilla snarks that Hakeem was supposed to get rid of Laura, he's gonna be king someday, and she's just pathetically in love with him and slowing him down, and that this isn't getting him anywhere. And Hakeem tries to remind Camilla that she's married, and it's none of her business who he's seeing, and yeah, in many ways, she has no right to tell him what he can do. And I like that Hakeem is actually not letting Camilla get to him. You can tell the power's getting to his head, which isn't a problem yet. It definitely is starting to be a problem, but I feel like as the season goes on, it's going to be more and more of a problem, and That's why that kind of went away, because little things here and there, yeah, it's obviously getting to his head, but he is trying to stay grounded because of Laura. But if he didn't have Laura, I feel like he wouldn't be as grounded, and he needs someone like Laura, because Laura's the thing that makes him really kind of like a gentleman and not an absolute jerk. Laura's the thing that really helps him with that, and I like that Camilla, he told Camilla straight out, you have no authority to tell me this, you can't tell me what to do, and you can tell he's not actually listening to her, which I really do like. He's kind of making his own judgments, and I'm very happy about that. So Cookie's trying to plan Tiana's tour. Very funny scene between Portia and Carol when they're both trying to get Cookie's attention, but she doesn't. But she basically ignores them. But Jamal storms in. He's freaking out about his run-in with the flip-flop singers. He blames Lucious for losing the gay support, while Cookie's trying to calm down Jamal. Andre barges in with an even bigger problem. Apparently, Camilla won't approve the budget for Tiana's tour, and obviously this is a huge problem because it seems like Camilla's rejecting anything that the Lions do. She doesn't want to hear anything that they do. She wants her own suggestions, and anything they say, she's just going to reject. And Cookie's livid. She screams at Andre that Camilla has got to go. She doesn't care if he has to build a rocket ship and send her to the moon. And I like that Cookie apologized because, she knew that Jamal was going through some problems and everything, and she was really upset. But basically, Cookie then crashes Tiana's rehearsal, tells her they're going to have to put her tour on hold. I like Tiana's song as well. It was kind of your stereotypical pop song, but I feel like that was kind of the point. Like, Tiana is this artist, but she's kind of just this artist that says, I thought it was interesting the way they portrayed that. I like the song that she sang. I thought it was like, I think it was like Look, Don't Touch. Very interesting stuff. It sounded like a Meghan Trainor song, but like from a black person, definitely kind of like an R&B Meghan Trainor song. So she tells her that they're gonna have to put her tour on hold, and Tiana's furious because she threatened to quit, and she wanted to go on this tour, but now knowing that she can't, she obviously wants to quit, and because she really wanted to do this. And Cookie has another trick up her sleeve, though. She sits down with Camilla and offers to send Hakeem's girlfriend Laura and her group Mirage à Trois on tour with Tiana if she will approve the budget. And Camilla's thrilled about the idea of having Hakeem to herself for months while Laura's on tour, and she agrees to go approve the budget. You can tell there's definitely a catch to this. They're not just going to leave Hakeem all to Camilla. They're not going to do that. And Hakeem is not as thrilled as Camilla when he heard the news, and Cookie informs that he has no choice until he gets the evidence that he's supposed to be getting from Camilla. There are going to be a lot of things happening that he isn't going to like, and basically, he needs to just go with it. He needs to act like, alright, this is fine. He can't really say anything for or against it because it's just part of their plan, and that's how it's going to go. So Ron is working at Empire on the fashion line with Camilla. She's snooping around, overhears Camilla having a heated conversation on the phone, and it looks like the Lions are not the only ones with an axe to grind with Camilla. You can tell that Rhonda definitely does have problems with her and has a lot of beef to deal with, and definitely she can tell that Camilla is bad news. I don't exactly remember what the conversation was about, but you can tell that Rhonda definitely is getting suspicious, and the most interesting thing is, I don't think it's possible, but is there a possibility that Camilla could have been the one to push Rhonda down the stairs? I mean, would exactly make sense? No, I feel like Anika makes the most sense, but I feel like Camilla kind of could have been the one to do it for all we know. I mean, just the way they're headed, definitely it seems that way. So I don't really know. Just the way that was done, it seems like Rhonda's going to get involved. I don't know how, but just that scene with Rhonda seemed very important. I'm interested in seeing really what happens there. So Cookie heads out to an impromptu show being put on by Jamal's. She's pretty surprised when Jamal debuted a news story about how he is not like his daddy, which is what the song is called, which it didn't feel like Jamal's song. It felt like a very different song for Jamal. It didn't really feel like his regular stuff. It felt more like a Hakeem song than Jamal's song, and Jamal raps that Lucious is a liar, a criminal, even calls his father inauthentic, and reveals that Lucious Lyons isn't even his real name. And he's blaming all of this on Lucious, which he does have a right to do. I mean, Lucious is the one that got all those gay activists and stayed on, finally supported Jamal. If you remember, he didn't support Jamal at first, and now he did, and he had all those people on his side, and now people have gone against Lucious, and in turn have turned against Jamal because of that. So, basically, he now feels that Lucious is doing all these terrible things, and Lucious decides to spin Jamal's attack. He calls back the reporter, Harper Scott. He decided to come out and tell the world his real story, and it really seems like that's where we're headed, that Lucious is going to tell his entire life story, how he wants the world to know how a homeless orphan named Dwight became the Lucious Lyon, and how he became that character. We've known since the end of Season 1 that his name was actually Dwight Walker, and that his name wasn't actually Lucious Lyon, and we know his story from the flashbacks, but they kind of gone away from that, which I'm happy about that they got away from the flashbacks, because now we can tell his full story of how after his mother died, then we'll get to see what happened, and I'm interested in seeing really what's going to happen there, because it seems like where we're headed, we are going to find out more about the real Lucious line, and that's something I'm very interested in exploring, is finding out more about his story. So Hakeem's supposed to be at a family meeting with Cookie, Jamal, and Andre, but he doesn't show up. Andre is certain that Hakeem is playing them, and he isn't going to help them get Camilla fired, because he thinks that Hakeem is actually, on Camilla's side, and Jamal then pays Hakeem a visit and gives him a pep talk, and I love this scene with Jamal. He needs to earn his family's trust again and earn the CEO spot that fell into his lap, and basically, he needs to earn his family's trust. He needs to prove that CEO spot is a good spot, because he's not really doing much of anything. It seems like Camilla has the upper hand, and Hakeem really needs to do something about it. And, they don't really trust him right now. They want to hope that he's going to be on their side, but they're not entirely sure if he's going to go with them. And I like the way that was done. I like they had this uncertainty here, and they really didn't know what Hakeem was going to do. So Hakeem is apparently inspired by a shot with Jamal later that night. He seduces Camilla, and afterwards Camilla, and you can tell that obviously he has a reason for doing this. He's not just seducing Camilla to seduce Camilla, because obviously he's with Laura and he wants to be with her, but Camilla obviously doesn't care that she's seducing her. She's just happy to have Hakeem back, because to her, she has her Hakeem back and everything. And afterwards Camilla tells Hakeem that Mimi's coming into town and she can't know about them, and Hakeem pressures her to come clean to Mimi, but Camilla knows that she will take the company from both of them, and right away you see that Hakeem has started this plot for them, and basically the next day Hakeem sends a sex tape he made of him and Camilla to Mimi's hotel room, and that's basically what he's going to do. He's going to use this as leverage to get back the company, which is a very good plan, and if this is how the episode ended, I would have been completely fine. If we would have ended with Hakeem saying, I'm going to send the sex tape, I would have been completely fine with that. But then Hakeem's plan works, and Mimi dumped all their stocks in Empire, and Cookie is thrilled and beyond proud of Hakeem. Andre rushes up to buy all of Mimi's stock, and it looks like they are finally free of her. This is the point of the episode where I think they went way too fast, and I know Empire has done this, that they want to speed through storylines because they have all these great ideas, and they just need to get them all out this season. They can't just spread things out. Empire's not a slow-paced show. I get that. I get that this is a show that moves fast. But this was unnecessarily fast, and this wasn't like Hakeem's kidnapping. It was not like that. Hakeem's kidnapping was one episode. This was at least 3, but what this should have ended with is the whole thing with Hakeem wanting to send that sex tape. We should have ended with him saying, I'm going to send the sex tape, and then have the next scene be the final scene of this episode, and then the ending be completely just in another episode, because it didn't feel like it belonged here at all. And that was my main concern with this episode. Like I said, I was enjoying it up to this point. This is when I was like, alright, I think this episode's going on too long, we need to focus on something else, and we need to not move as quickly as we are, because I thought we were moving way too quickly with this story, and we definitely were. So, Jamal and Hakeem are worried about Andre. He's not taking the death of his son so well, and he's been acting crazier than ever. He just has been acting, really crazy and really manic and everything. It's very maddening to him, obviously. So they invite Andre down to the studio to listen as a song they've been working on for him to help him cope with the baby's death, and I love the song they did. I think it was called Bad Things Happen to Never Let It Die, I think it was called, is what it was, but I really love this song. I thought it was a very good song. I definitely love the way that Good People actually was what it's called. Great song overall. I absolutely love this song. Probably my favorite part of the episode was this song. Seeing the look on Andre's face and Cookie's face. I mean, Andre's not in a good place, but he knows they wrote the song for him. He knows he did it for them, and it's a really nice scene, and we don't really get to see a lot of the Lion brothers really helping the other ones out, and you really do see this, that they do have each other's back, and when, push comes to shove, they are going to help each other. I definitely really like that, and had this been the way the episode ended, just on a sweet ending, I would have been fine. But then I realized, this is Empire, we need to end big, and that is when I feel this episode didn't work as well, because like I said, I was really enjoying this episode. I was actually really into it. I was like, wow, this is really great, this is really moving quickly. Then the final scene of this episode happened, and kind of made me lose a bit of my faith, and I'm like, I fear that something bad is happening again. I don't want to see that. So later that night, Lucious shows up at the office, and Cookie tells him that everything is taken care of, and Hakeem got Mimi to dump her stock in the company. Lucious says he's going home to celebrate, but he doesn't go home. He stops by Mimi's hotel room, and I don't really get this scene. I don't really get what Camilla was trying to do here, but Camilla's trying to clean up Mimi's dead body, and made it look like she committed suicide, which she clearly didn't. It's clear Camilla shoved poison down her throat, because she didn't want Mimi to see the evidence of her and Hakeem having sex, and this, to me, felt like something in a season finale. Just the way this was all done, it felt like this would be either the penultimate episode or the season finale. It did not feel like it belonged in episode 12. It felt like we were moving way too fast with this. And let me tell you, this last scene was perfection. I thought it was very well done. It just didn't belong in this episode. And for me, it really felt like we were moving too quickly. And it really made me upset because I thought this could be a great storyline for us this season. And now it seems like it's already over. And Lucious still has an axe to grind with Camilla, though. He pulls out a gun, shouts at her to take a drink of the same poison that she gave to Mimi. And after bickering back and forth, doesn't seem like she's going to take it. She does drink the poison. We don't know if this was actually the poison, though, or if it was actually just another drink and she's actually not dead. And Lucious puts away his gun, tells her to rot in hell, storms out of the hotel room, and that's how the episode ends. So overall, like I said, I was a fan for this episode for the most part. I enjoyed a lot of it, but then that very ending, I was very disappointed because it really seemed like we were going in this direction where we were kind of, moving a little bit slower, and I like that. And yes, there are things we didn't see in this episode. We still have yet to see the Hakeem-Lucious showdown. This hasn't happened yet. Lucious doesn't have the company back, even though the Lions have it back. Hakeem is still CEO. Lucious does not have his company back, and that's something I do like. I like that we don't have everything resolved yet, but this was the biggest part. I mean, the biggest twist of episode 10 was Mimi and Camilla taking over Empire to overthrow the Lions, and now that they've already seem to be gone, it doesn't seem like it's much of a problem anymore. What I'm hoping is that Camilla tricked them, that she didn't actually take the poison, that she took a fake drink and actually faked it. That would be a really good twist, because that would make a lot of sense. I think that would be really good if she did that, and we know how, deceitful Camilla is, and for her to do that, it would not be out of character. It would make complete sense, would be completely in her character. We know how deceitful and how just, I don't know, kind of like, I can't think, I can't think of the word right now, abrasive, kind of, just how sneaky she really is, and I feel like that's totally something that Camilla would do. So, I'm thinking that Camilla is still alive. I don't think that she's actually dead. I don't think she actually took the poison. I think she completely faked it, and she wants them to think she's dead. But I don't think she's actually dead. I think that she's still out there. She wants them to think she took that poison, and she didn't take that poison. So, we'll have to see where that goes, because I'm really hoping she didn't. If she did, then I'm going to be really upset, because the show just ended what could have been a really compelling plot, and they just ended it because, once again, they didn't know where to go with it. But if she isn't dead, then I'll be very happy, and I hope that's where we're headed, that she's not actually dead. Mimi's definitely dead, but Camilla I don't think is dead. I think she will probably come back. We'll have to see, though. But like I said, I do think this episode should have ended with that song. I think the final scene was completely unnecessary, did not belong in this episode at all, and it should have been a completely different episode. Just felt they were moving way too quickly with this. Hakeem, I think, is now on their side. I think he's proven he's now on their side, but the fame, you can tell, is going to his head. This is not over. The power is still going to his head. How is he going to let this, this is obviously affecting him. How is he not going to let this power go to his head? Because it already seems like it kind of is, and we'll have to see how he doesn't let it go to his head, because it really seems like it's a problem. I like that we're going this direction of Lucious wanting to tell his own story, because now that he's not the founder of Empire, he does want to tell the story of how he rose to power and how he went from this small, poor boy to a much more powerful person. And we're going to see next week, it looks like, how this has really affected Cookie, because Cookie's never knew Dwight Walker. She knew Lucious Lyon, but she didn't know that his name was actually Dwight. And obviously, that's something that really upsets her. And that's something that she really wanted to know. And this is something that, she didn't know, and something that she really wanted to know, and obviously this really is going to affect her, and I can't wait to see where that goes with that story, if Lucious tell his whole story, if this actually works out for him. And Jamal and him, I definitely feel they are going to make amends at some point, but right now, at least, it seems they're really intense between them, because Jamal is blaming Lucious for what's going on, and I think it's going to probably take place till Lucious gets back the company, which we know will probably happen, but right now, at least, things are really tense between these two, and I actually really do like that things are tense, though. It makes sense, I think it makes sense why things are so tense there, and I can't wait to see how they resolve things, which I'm sure is going to happen. And then Andre, I'm really worried about Andre, because you can tell this death of this child is really affecting him, really starting to eat up inside of him. We'll have to see what's going on there. But his bipolar is definitely going to start to come out, and like I said, that song that Hakeem and Jamal sang, I think should have been the ending of this episode. What's going on with Rhonda as well? Because she suspected to Camilla of something. There's definitely something going on with her. Do you think that someone allegedly pushed Rhonda down the stairs, or was it an accident? Because Andre's thinking it's not, but Rhonda kind of just thinks he's crazy. So do you think that he's right? I mean, I don't think he's wrong. I think it definitely was not an accident, that someone did in fact push her down the stairs. I don't think it was just a random thing. I do think that Rhonda got pushed down down the stairs wasn't an accident. It was meant to happen. But what do you guys think? I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Overall, really enjoyed this episode till the very end of it. I didn't think the ending was necessary. I thought they went way too quickly with this storyline, and I really hope they just slow things down a bit. I understand Empire's a fast-paced show. They want to go fast with it. I get that. That's just how the show is in its nature. That's how it's always been. That's how it'll always be. But just, I want them to go a little bit slower. I really do. I want them to have a genuine arc. I want them to have an arc for the next 6 episodes, because we have 6 episodes left. They need to do something. They can't just be in this period where nothing happens. I mean, that's not a compelling show. If you want to keep me interested, you gotta have something happening, and hopefully they have something happening. But let me know what you guys saw this episode. Love to hear your thoughts on it. We'll see you guys in the next video, which will be for tonight's episode of The Americans, and we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.